Don't you know that's the longest journey that we will ever take in our life? It's just almost 46 centimeters too long. It's a distance between our head to our heart. And it's a process of our love and wisdom to transform our knowledge and belief into actions that have the capacity to change not only our life, but also those around us. But that process cannot start or even complete without courage. So let's start with a simple question. When was the last time you say, I love you to your friends? And when was the last time to say it to your family members? I was born and raised in a regular nuclear family. My mom is a dedicated woman. She was a retailer in Dawson Market. She didn't have a store for herself, but two very heavy plastic bags on her both hands, filled with all kinds of pads, washed clothes, carried around the market. I spent most of my childhood with my mom, so somehow I felt like she was carrying our family in those two bags. My uncle's house was just a while away from mine. 8 years ago, his wife was diagnosed with colorectal cancer at the age of 44, and it has gone almost everywhere inside her body. And after the operation, she had to carry an ostomy bag right here. My mom decided to quit her job as a retailer to take care of her. I didn't visit her, for I thought my mom had done enough already. The hospital sent her back a couple of times, and believe me, there was lots of time that she just about to give up, but then she got back and continued the treatment. The one who was giving her so much strength was her studying abroad child, who was expected to be back in spring. One day, as she couldn't go popping for dice, my mom asked me to come over and have the hand. I didn't know what to do, so I just rubbed her stomach for half an hour, and it came up. With colorectal cancer, it was such a release. So she leaned toward me, so I moved closer, enough to feel her tear as she asked me if I could come whenever I have free time, as a company and as a friend. It surprised me a bit, for I barely knew her. And as an ignorant child I was at that time, that sentence somehow felt like a turning point to me. So I did, until one day when I was rubbing her stomach, and the ostomy bag somehow leaked, and the smell came from it was so overwhelming, and it crossed my light. I stood up when my mom was cleaning her. I looked back and I saw the slight smile on her face as she asked me if the smell was too strong. I didn't reply, and I left. I told my mom that I was too busy with my school. What I didn't tell her was that I was disgusted with that smell and with her situation. I know that I should not have, but I came up with all sorts of reasons why I could not come. One day when I was having breakfast, my mom came back home and she said that she was a bit weaker that day because her breath was so strange. That moment I felt like something wasn't right. I felt like she needed me and I wanted to come. And I was about to get up and come to her place, but I didn't. I told my mom that I would be there by 12 after I finished my homework. But she couldn't make it until 12, and she couldn't make it until spring. I never thought that I would or could share this experience to anyone else, especially in a talk like this. But believe me, the cost we may have to pay for not having enough courage and let opportunity pass by is probably the worst. We could not blame anyone else, and it could be terribly hard to let go. There were so many chances and opportunity that I could have taken to take care of, or just to be there when they needed me the most. But I didn't. I was forever changed. And it was my first lesson of courage. So it's a cor in Latin. That means heart in English. So being courageous is not only about taking risks, to be fearless, to be tough, but also to take action upon a hard decision, to allow yourself to be soft, be kind and caring, even though you're terrified, terribly terrified. You used to do the right things anyway. So I have a question for you. Do you have any letters that finally turned into nevers? Love is just not enough. It may turn into regrets without courage. There is one saying that I have read and been told many times. You need to love yourself before you love anyone else. This may sound a bit old and so common that it probably had become a cliche to some of us. But what I am about to share may give you another aspect to look at this quote. When I was 19, I was lost and misled, like most of us did in our teens. I knew that I was looking for something. I didn't know what it was specifically, so I just kept looking out for it. Until one late night, there was so many things in my mind. Things like university, social responsibility, family expectations, and so on. I remember it vividly as I saw myself sitting on my bed and listened to my surroundings quietly. And the idea of meditation just came up in my mind. So I followed that voice, crossed my legs, and started meditation for the first time in my life. I have never felt my body so vivid and connected before. It's amazing to know that more than half of our body is created by non-human parts, which are bacteria, viruses, fungi, etc. They have so many functions. For example, they protect our skin from invasion by harmful organisms. And there are 1,000 of skin cells die on our skin every minute. Billions, trillions of them are working in harmony with each other to support our survival. They are all essential to our health, even the smallest ones. But have we ever taken time to tribute them? And before going to sleep, have we ever taken time to say thank you to our heart, the organ that never stops beating, never takes rest, even when we are sleeping? It works non-stop until our last breath. So in that moment, that realization was so profounding to me. It wasn't something I invented or discovered. I am not a scientist, not a physicist, and definitely not a chemist. But that feeling in that moment just so profounding. So my heart taught me the lesson of love that I don't forget. So self-love is not only the stage where we could accept ourselves as who we were and are, to be aware of our valuable respect, to take care of physical health, but also to treasure ourselves deep, deep down from the within. It sounds like there are lots of things that we have to work on already. But let's start it simple with a conversation to ourselves. Tonight, before going to sleep, please take 5 minutes to truly listen and communicate to your body, both human and non-human parts. How are they? How do they feel? Encourage them for the hearts that never stop beating, for the lungs that up and down with us, for the legs that carry, for everything, from the smallest to the most visible one. 2 years ago, with the help of Waterwise Vietnam, my team and I founded an environmental club named Pas Verts, which means green steps in English. We were working on the eco break project for over years, and it lasted for 2 seasons. I came to the club, of course, for the love for environment. But after handing over the club, I have found myself in the different aspect of understanding what love environment could also mean and what roles wisdom plays in our life in such a likely way that is truly eye-opening to me. We are human. When we put ourselves, animal, and plants in the same picture, which is environment, we don't seem to be related, just like human and non-human parts in our body. Scientifically proved, it only takes 92 elements to make up all lives on Earth. So in other words, the elements that we find in nature, in plants, in animals, that happen to exist and work inside of it as well. Only when my heart skips a bit, that I know that I'm loved. Only when it feels so heavy, that we know we are in pain. The heart comes first before the brain. We feel it before we even know it. And now let's say the environment seems to be the big body in which we are the human parts that should live and work in harmony with other species, which are non-human one as well. Because of any impact that we make, it counts. If love is so great, how do we know whether we are misled or going on the right track? This is when wisdom does its role. Love itself is not wrong, and wisdom is the power to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. To keep an open mind, to not only think outside the box, but also to listen and observe outside the box. At first, I thought that reading many books in different genres, going to events, watching documentary movies are the shortest ways to achieve it. However, we may have mistaken the idea of wisdom for knowledge. Knowledge is when we know how to use the gun, and wisdom is to know when to pull the trigger. As Jimi Hendrix says, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. By observing and listening, I have found there is a great love within me. And I have found how we are all connected not only to each other, but to nature surrounding us. This practice changed everything I have known before. So my heart taught me that I feel love before I even know it. And wisdom is like a wake-up call for that feeling. Listen deeper, observe wiser, and everything is different. However, achieving true love, wisdom, and courage doesn't seem like a real destination, but rather an ongoing process. The vast oceans of knowledge and wisdom is unmeasurable, indescribable, and yet not yet discovered. We make mistakes. We do. But poor listening, observing, and keep an open mind are ways to develop it. If ignorance and discrimination hold the power to damage our world, the love, wisdom, and courage hold the power to heal it. If you want to learn something new, to change ourselves for the better, but our mind is filled with judgment and already existing personal perspective, it's like a cup that's filled with tea. Empty the cup, emptying your mind, eliminating our judgment and personal perspective and ignorance is when we truly listen. We are all responsible and have the capacity to make change and heal not only us, but others and the world we are living in. So, pack up your courage and get ready for the greatest journey that you will ever take in your life. The journey from your head to your heart, and a journey of love, wisdom, and courage. Thank you.